Hello, hello. Welcome to another Faith and Beauty chat. If this is your first time tuning in with me, my name is Vandetta, and I'm the CEO of Be by Vendetta Beauty and the founder of the Faith and Beauty movement. And I specialize in helping Christian businesswomen and leaders to elevate their brand image into what I like to call empowered leadership. And the way that I do that is through faith, beauty, and style. So, in today's beauty chat, I am going to show you how to transform your look from an everyday look to a more evening look or an on-stage look, because I know so many of you who are watching, you are business women and you are leaders out there doing business God's way, and you're on stages, you're authors, you're coaches, you go to events, and sometimes you're under really bright lights and you need to know how you can enhance your look just like that, without a lot of tools and all of those things. So anyway, so I'm going to be showing you that. I'm going to take this look that you see right now. This is a look that I have literally had on all day, just super simple. We're going to take this from super daytime into a really glammed up on stage look. Well, maybe not too glammed up. We'll just up it up a notch. All right, but before we do all of that, I want to start off with a quick faith chat. And this is, oops, oh, I was looking for my phone, y'all, because what I wanted to share with you is actually it's a podcast. I was listening to this podcast earlier today. And for those of you who don't really know me, I really love listening to podcasts, and I'm kind of like a podcast snob, so to speak. And the reason I say that is because I have my favorite podcasts and I kind of like don't venture out away from them. So I'm like, once you hook me in with your podcast, I love it, and I'm just kind of like a faithful listener. So this particular one, I'm a super faithful listener to it. And it is called The Gifted Entrepreneur Show. And it is for Christian entrepreneurs, and it is amazing. So it doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman, anybody can benefit from it. But anyway, so that is one of my favorite ones right now. So I've just been tuning in and listening. And the episode that I'm going to be commenting on for our faith chat today, it is 5 ways that Christian entrepreneurs can break the chains from suffering in silence. So when I saw that title, I was super intrigued just from the title alone, because for so long, y'all, I'm telling you, for so long, I was literally that entrepreneur. I was feeling alone, like nothing was working. I felt like I wasn't good enough. Like, wait a minute, maybe I'm not called to this whole entrepreneur thing, right? And I was just going through all the emotions, and I literally felt like I was suffering in silence. And the reason I say suffering in silence and why this just resonated with me, and it just brought me back to that time, is because I was like feeling all of those emotions all the time, and it was spilling over into my relationships. And I just really felt like I was spinning out of control. But on the outside, you couldn't tell, right? Because we know, especially as women, we can put on different faces, right? And you fall apart at night after everybody goes to bed. If you're like I was, like falling apart in the closet, like, oh my God, like what is happening? Like, help, Lord, right? So I know what that's like. So I was so intrigued, and I just could not wait to listen to this. And it just sat with me. So I just know, and I felt like I wanted to chat with you about this in our Faith and Beauty chat, because I know for so many of you, that's you and that's how you feel, but you don't talk about it, right? You just go through the motions of every day, right? And for me, I was able to break free from all of that. And the reason I think that I was able to break free from, it's like what I call the crazy cycle. Like I literally just felt like a crazy person, just alone, like suffering in silence, just like she was talking about in this podcast. But what helped me to break free was the people that God brought into my life. He literally surrounded me with people for my life. Some of them are no longer in my life because I heard a saying once that God will bring people in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And even though some are not every day present in my life anymore, it was because they were there for a season, right? Because that's what I needed in that season. So I know how important it is for you to surround yourself with the right people. And I currently, thank God, have amazing leadership and mentorship in my life. So there's so much more I want to say on this, but I want to encourage you to go listen to the podcast because that's just a little bit of why I related so much to it. But I do want to share with you before we get into our beauty portion, I want to share with you my biggest takeaway from that particular episode. And it was that so many Christian entrepreneurs and all entrepreneurs, but specifically Christian entrepreneurs, because I am a Christian entrepreneur, so I can totally relate. We are just like busy doing all the things. Like I said earlier, for me, I was just going through the motions, right? Balancing the business, the family, the relationship, the jobs, the kids. Some of you are not entrepreneurs. Some of you have a career. And so you're balancing the job, you're doing all the things. And sometimes you may start to feel like I was then, a little hamster on a wheel and not really seeing the fruit of your labor, right? You're doing all these things, but it's like, okay, well, like, what's this all for? Nothing seems to be working. And you start feeling like it's never going to happen for you. Maybe you feel like you're never going to be successful in your business or your career. Maybe you feel like it's maybe your marriage and it seems like it's over. Like it's just been really bad because of all those emotions. Because when it's like I used to hear when it rains, it pours, right? They were just speaking all kinds of curses over their life. You know how people do, like you just think it's so bad, it's just getting worse, right? That's the first problem, right? We can't say stuff like that. We have what we say. Our words have power. Our words create. We are creative beings, right? Anyway, so whatever the issue is, it could be with your children. May just seem like, the kids are going through some things and it just seems too much to bear. But I want to tell you today, whatever the problem is, God is the solution. He is the solution. He is not a solution. He is the solution. So in this particular podcast episode that I'm referring to, she talked about one of my favorite scriptures, and it's Ezekiel 37, where the Lord says, and I know you all know this, where the Lord says, prophesy to these bones. And then he says, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. So for me, it was such a beautiful reminder that, you know, you say, you speak, you have what you say. God has given us authority and power over all the power of the enemy. And God reminded me of that today. And so and that's why I'm sharing this with you, is because I want to remind you of it, right? I want to remind you that you can speak to those dry places in your life. You can speak to those situations that may seem like there is no hope in them. And you can command those dry bones to live. Go back, y'all read Ezekiel 37. Go back and read it, and it'll just get you excited all over again. Because I hadn't read it in a while. And when I heard the podcast, this particular podcast episode earlier, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go back and read that, right? So I just want to encourage you today to prophesy over your own situation. You have been given all the power, all the authority over all the power of the enemy. Yep, that's in your Bible. That's what God said, right? But you have to take the first step. And that is you need to have faith, believe, and ask God. Ask God. Ezekiel said, Lord, I don't know what to do, but you do. God always knows what to do, right? That's just what I felt like I got from it. But I want to leave the link for you down below so that you can tune in to that particular episode and see what God is speaking to you in this season concerning that. Now we are going to get into the beauty chat. I know you love the beauty chats, right? So again, like I was saying earlier, that what we're going to do, I'm going to actually show you how you can take a look like this. This is just like a super simple everyday look. and it's barely anything. So basically what I have on is a BB cream, and it's my V by Vendetta BB cream. And then I have on a concealer. I have bronzer on my eyes. And what else do I, oh, I don't have eyeliner on. This is actually eyeshadow. This is a super simple technique that I like to do when I'm just doing like a super simple look. So this black that you see is actually an eyeshadow. It is not an eyeliner. And obviously I filled in my brows, and then I just have on a clear lip balm. All right. So anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to kick this look up a notch. So if you are someone who is on stages with bright light, maybe you are a speaker, maybe you are a author, a coach, and you have speaking engagements, and you get onto stages with bright lights, or even maybe sometimes whenever you are in front of your ring light, if you were doing, I like to host a lot of summits. So just sitting in my office, right? And I have tons of bright ring lights to totally glam me up, right? Not today, but in front of those bright ring lights, those can wash you out. And especially when you're on stage. When I was acting and I was on stage, like our makeup had to be super heavy so that the person, like literally at the very back, would be able to see you, right? So you would have to intensify your makeup, especially around the eyes, because otherwise you just look washed out anytime you get into the bright light. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to come in closer so that you all can see what I am doing. And this is really going to be more focused on the eyes. I think I'm zoomed in enough for you there, right? So I am going to be using my V by Vendetta eyeshadow palette. For those of you who have not gotten one yet, I do have some. This palette, oops, sorry if my camera's going out of focus every time I bring something in the frame. But this palette, I do have a few left if you want to grab one. This is the very last run of this palette. I am bringing in some new palettes, and I can't tell y'all much about that because there's so much new yummy goodness happening in Viva Vendetta. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with this berry color. This is so pretty, y'all. I am like really sad about I'm sad, but I'm excited at the same time about doing away with this palette because it's so pretty. Like the colors just look amazing on everyone. It took me a while to curate this. A couple of, it was probably about 2 years that I worked on this palette before launching it. And it's just so pretty. And it just works with every single skin tone, no matter if you are super fair and porcelain all the way to the deepest dark skin tone. So it is fabulous on every skin tone. Okay, so what you see me doing right now, I am just using a larger fluffy brush, and I am just adding a deeper shade. It's like that really pretty berry shade into the outer corners and into the crease. Okay. And then next, I am going to use one of my, another fluffy brush. This one's it's a little flatter, and I'm just going to buff down underneath my brow bone. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I don't like harsh lines. If you like the harsh lines, then that's your personal preference, and everybody has their own beauty style. But I like everything to just be a seamless wash of color. And I like it to just really look like it's just all seamlessly flowing together, right? All right, so see, we could literally stop right there because we just kicked it up a notch just from doing that, right? Okay, so next we are going to go into the black right here. And this brush, I kind of call it like a squirrel tail. It is very pointy, and I like to get the color right on the tip of it and then just go into that outer corner. and you're just going to intensify that. So I already had black there earlier, but now I'm just intensifying it, and I'm going to bring it into the lash line, right, to create that base. And we're just going to come over and do the other side. And do you see how it's just building? It's intensifying. So it's going from a super simple daytime look into a more evening look, or into an on-stage look, or an on-camera. I would totally wear this on camera as well if I were in my super bright lights, which I'm not today. I'm just inside of the bathroom and the lights aren't bright. I mean, they're okay. It's just my lighting in here. And now I'm just going to blend it in. Now I did grab another brush because I don't want all of the leftover black that's on here. I don't want that because I don't want to intensify it anymore. It's at the exact intensity that I want it. So I'm just going to use another brush to blend it in. Okay. And then the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer on my eyelid. For this, I think I'm going to use this one. This is a really pretty gold. And you want to make sure that you always tap your brush off. I'm trying to, it's hard to see inside of the, it's hard for me to see inside of the camera lens. So if you see me looking this way, I'm looking into my mirror to see myself in there. So I'm just looking in the mirror. So you can also use your finger to do this. I like using brushes for everything, but you can absolutely use your finger, and you're just tapping it into the lid. Okay. And you're just intensifying that gold. I already had like a softer gold there, but again, we're pretending like we're going to be on stage, so we need to be seen under the bright lights. All right, so you just lay that there. And now I'm going to go back to my big fluffy brush. And again, I like to make sure that everything is seamless, so that where one ends, the other just flows into it. So it doesn't look like, oh, that's where that ended, you know? No, we just want it to be a seamless, a beautiful seamless flow. I like personally, and you don't have to do this, but I like to blow it out in the outer corners as well, just because it gives you like a more lifted eye look, if you want that. Next, you want to intensify your lashes. Now, you can do lash strips. So if you're a lash girl, you can grab lash strips and do them. These are really pretty. I prefer, I don't personally wear false lashes because I love to just make my real lashes look as big as I possibly can. However, if you like that look, then you definitely, right here at this step, you can just put on your false lash. One thing that I do want to add also with this look, I just thought about it. I want to add a little bit of that berry color right underneath the lash line. I personally think a smoky look is just so pretty, and it looks nice on any eye shape. You just have to, make sure if the eyes are smaller, you're not closing them up. So for me, I'm just running it right along that bottom lash line. And you could go deeper if you wanted to. You could add a little bit of black mixed in there, but I'm not going to do that simply because the mascara is going to do that for me. And then I'm just going to clean up with my powder brush just right under there. Okay. All right. So the next step in intensifying this look is we are going to add mascara. So there is a technique that I teach inside of my class on how you can get super big lashes without using false lashes. Nothing wrong with false lashes, but for me, I just like to teach you how to find and use the lashes that you have. All right. So you see how that just intensified my lashes right there. And then I'm just going to do the other eye. And then I always like to let underneath the bottom lashes, I like to add a little bit of mascara there as well. That also helps to enhance the look. And then another thing, whenever you are taking a look from daytime into evening, just know that you don't have to start over, because so many people think, oh, I have to start my makeup all over again. No, you can just take whatever shades or colors that you were already wearing and intensify them using darker similar shades. That's all I did. It was like colors in the same family, and then I just used darker similar shades to intensify it. And of course, literally I'm talking to you, so it's taking me a little bit longer because I'm talking and teaching at the same time. However, when you were doing this, you know, without all of that, it literally will take you probably about maybe 5 minutes just to do what I did. Literally 5 minutes. Okay, so next I'm going to get rid of my lip gloss here on my lips. Just wipe that off. And we're going to bring some life into the lips. So I'm just going to outline them using one of my chubby sticks. I know the last time I used a chubby stick, y'all were like, okay, when are they coming? I know y'all are still waiting on them. It's happening. I promise you. It's happening. It is going to be a big deal when they launch. These chubby sticks, for those of you who don't know, can be used on your eyes, lips, and cheeks. So it's kind of like a 3-in-1. And I oftentimes come on and use them, and I always get DMs with y'all saying, when are those chubby sticks coming? You want one? They're not available yet, but they're coming. I promise. Anyway, so I just did like a bronzy, chocolatey, chubby stick. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of gloss. All right, you guys. So that's it. And then another step that you could do, if you wanted to, you could just add a little bit more blush to your cheeks. Just make sure that it's in the same color family. One huge mistake that I see people do is they'll have like on a berry look with, the deeper colors, and then put on a bright orange blush. That is not cohesive. You want to make sure that everything is cohesive. So anyway, so that is it for our beauty portion of our chat today. So I want to hear from you. I want to hear if you feel this was easy enough for you to take a daytime look into a little bit more intense evening look. And it can go even more intense than this, y'all, seriously. But this is like a medium intense look that shows up beautifully on camera, but it also looks amazing on stage as well. It's super simple, and you can do it literally in 10 minutes or less, I promise you. So with that being said, that's all I have for you. But I did want to also let you know that you are all invited to my upcoming free workshop. It is called Elevate Your Brand Image. This is like my 4th time doing this free workshop, and I love doing it because I love to help business women and leaders to show up looking like the best version of themselves. So this workshop is absolutely free, and I'll be sharing some of my tips, and I will be helping you to elevate your image into what I like to call empowered leadership. And this workshop, some of you might be thinking, okay, I don't know, is this even for me? Well, the workshop is for you if you have been putting all of your attention and time into building your business, right? You've been doing all the things, learning how to do the funnels, learning how to speak on stage. You've been doing all you've been doing all of those things, which we need to do as business women, right? But so often I see so many women that are in business, they forget about one of the other important things, and that is how you show up. I always say, you guys hear me say it every time I come on here, how you show up matters. And especially Christian businesswomen, I was talking to a Christian businesswoman the other day, and she was like, yeah, but I don't, as a Christian, she was raised in a religion to where, makeup and dressing up was not something that it was good, right? She was taught just to like, just plain Jane. And listen, that is a misinterpretation of the scriptures. I talk about that inside of my Royal You one-on-one that I do with ladies. But let me tell you something. That is not what God says about you. God made you beautiful. He is beautiful himself. All things he has made beautiful, right? He is majestic. He is fabulous, right? Everything about God is beautiful. Look at the world, physical. Like you go outside, you see beauty all around you. You see the flowers, you see the trees. All things are made beautiful. But when it comes to when it comes to women, right? Yes, that scripture does say that um you are not to put your worth in the adornment of your body and your hair, right? God does not want, he wants you to know that you are far more precious than jewels, right? You are his beautiful creation. So your value and your worth, they do not come from the adornment of the body, of the braiding of the hair, the gold jewelry, all the things. No, your worth and value only come from God, right? But there's nothing wrong with you, and your father does not want you to go around looking and feeling, you know, unlike your best self. No, he wants you to look polished and put together. You live in this world, you live in a physical world, right? And first impressions are everything. People will scroll past you if you have like an amazing message that you're talking about, but your background isn't lit. You're not in the right lighting. Or maybe you don't know how to do your makeup and you're showing up on camera with dark circles around your eyes. Or maybe you don't know what foundation, what makeup to use, or maybe your attire isn't right? Those are things, and I mean, and I'm just being real with you. I'm not judging anybody. Believe me, I'm not. This is truly the call on my life, is to help women to show up as the best version of themselves. And that is why I choose to do that in faith, beauty, and style, so that you begin to see yourself the way God sees you, right? And not through the lens of this world. Because when you begin to see yourself the way God sees you, then everything else falls into alignment. Your image will come into divine alignment with where God is calling you to be. So anyway, I would love to see you at the Elevate Your Brand Image workshop, because you are your brand and how you show up matters. So if you want to sign up, it is coming up in a couple weeks. The link, I'm also going to leave that link down below in the comments. You can grab that along with the podcast link so that you can finish listening to all of the awesomeness inside of that podcast that will bless you. So I love you so much. And remember, be bold, be beautiful, be confident, but most importantly, be you. You are a designer's original. You are fearfully and wonderfully made by the hand of God. Love ya.